Well. Guess I have to upload this video right now. Because the Wargaming is kind of forcing my hand here with the newly announced Mines update. So yeah, this video has been put on hold for quite a while because I really didn't have enough motivation to finish it up. But it seems that I don't really have the time left because Wargaming has already the plans to do the things which I pretty much going to mention in this video. So trying to not fall too far behind with my uploads, I am just going to upload the video right now. This will mean that there are some outdated statements in the script. I will mention a potential Mines map enlargement, which is actually going to happen. I will also mention the whole concept of map enlargement as quite a novelty, which has worn a bit off after a couple of months that we have the newly enlarged Enks map version. And finally, I also kind of promise an immediate follow-up video after this one, which I really haven't gotten the time or motivation to make yet. So instead of having that video immediately, it's going to take a little bit longer. But I think the follow-up video would not be spoiled by Wargaming, by them taking it also in their own hands and actually go and follow it further. But without any more spoilers, let's just start the video. Good morning, noon, evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Legend and welcome back to World of Tanks and a update video about the Ensk map, which has some very interesting complications that I really wanted to talk in further detail about. You see, this video isn't like most of the other videos these days, which is pre-planned, part of a serie. No, this is actually one of the videos where some elements of a World of Tanks update is so interesting to me that I wanted to talk about it as soon as possible. Already got ideas in my head what I want to talk about and all that things, so I'm very excited about that. Because unlike the previous time I did this, it isn't actually about something that is an absolute detriment to the game. I'm looking at you, Crew 2.0 updates from several years back. No, today I want to talk about a certain new implementation, and that is the enlarged version of the map Ensk, which grows from his 600 by 600 meters map to a 1000 by 1000 meter map, which is an increase which makes the map almost 3 times bigger, with a lot of new elements added to it. But the most interesting thing is that they call it Enks Region, and that the smaller version of Enks will still be an existing map for lower tiers, for tier 6 and tier 7. From tier 8s and forwards you got the enlarged version, which is an amazing implementation to make. And I immediately thought about one other map in particular where such a change is also very necessary. And I'm talking about Mines, of course. But that makes me think even further. What other maps are actually smaller than a 1000 by 1000 meter square? And is it possible to enlarge those maps as well? So in this video I want to firstly look at what the Enks enlargement actually means, what kind of changes we see between the smaller versions of big versions, keep those changes in mind, and looking forward towards other maps which can be enlarged, and maybe speculate how Wargaming can enlarge them. So looking at the mini-maps themselves to compare and see what kind of changes we mainly see, especially at the border parts. So at the first glance we actually see that most of the structural integrity of Enks is being upheld, meaning that all the buildings that we know from the old smaller version are also apparent in the new version. However, the larger version seems to have some structural changes within it, mainly buildings that are destroyed in somewhat of another way, or elements that we've actually seen in a different version of the current smaller map, namely the Onslaught version of Ensk, where we see less trains on the tracks and the larger structure right to the east side of the train tracks being cut in half. But also we see some of the buildings being placed a little bit differently, mainly due to balancing reasons. Also, some new buildings were added in the bottom left part of the map, next to the athletic field, which has replaced the destructible buildings right there. Talking about the destructible buildings seems to be the ones that can be changed the most. I see the ones on the left top side being mostly intact, basically being the same, but on the right side you got a lot less destructible buildings being, well, completely destroyed. It seems that the larger version of Ensk has already done the battle within the smaller version, where most of the destructible buildings have been run over by the tanks, so to say. But if we zoom out a little bit more and focus on the actual borders of the map, I see that, well, most of the structures right there are pretty much the same. Some are again destroyed to have some more corridors to enlarge the roads further up. But for that we actually do need to check out an Ensk replay and check out how the area looks right now beyond the borders of the smaller version. So looking at the old borders starting from the north, we actually see the bridge already in existence, which we see back on the bigger map. Alongside of the road to the left of it, we see some additional buildings being added or reconstructed. All the way to the back we got some extra buildings with some hiding positions alongside with a much bigger building all the way in the top left corner. And that process is pretty much repeated for the city part. We do see a quite similar cleared up area of buildings right to the south of this avenue, but most of the times the buildings will be reconstructed a bit here and there. Some of the sniping positions will be changed a little bit, but generally speaking you will not notice that much of a difference if you look from the actual ground towards the current border and when you play that area in the bigger version of the map. The central area of the city version will remain the same, since that area will still be off limits, so no reason there to change it up. Then towards the southwest side we currently got this hill area, which is actually going to be flattened out in the new version, also being added some more structures, some more buildings on that side as well, as we continue to fly over towards the industrial area of the train roads. In the exact south side you see a lot less buildings right here than we do right now on the smaller version of the map, and I also think that right here the hilly parts will be flattened out as well. And the main reason why there are going to be less buildings is that the buildings here are very much clustered close to each other, way too close for, well, comfortable tank combat, although some of those quite sneaky peek through areas could be funny. Also a funny part to just squeeze through if you are, well, an ELC even 90. That's the only thing I can think of about at high tier that can do such things. Then we move up towards the east side of the map, where we can see the biggest change, because on the smaller version we immediately get towards the shoreline with the big river, which in the bigger version of course the river is way smaller, shallower, and also got an extra area you can traverse to as an island. But yeah, most of the things here will be changed up a lot. You do see already the cliffside like a little bit. It does copy some of the more steeper relief that we see right now, but well, most of the things will be changed up a bit. Also on the top side of the east corner, we got another quite big hill, mountain-like area, which also will probably be flattened down. And it actually is the middle part of this area, which actually will be the highest point of this side of the map. And then we get back towards some more lower amount of buildings that we can see towards the exact right of the railway. But like the city part, it will be somewhat similar, although it will be a bigger change because most of these buildings will be destructible buildings. And in the current corner, I do believe only this building will remain, while the rest will be quite absent on this position. So what can we conclude about what can change about such a map enlargement? Well, for the most parts, you do have some general themes that will be similar no matter what. The city part of the map still remains the city map if it gets enlarged. It isn't like you now got the forest area right smack down in the middle of this city. It will be quite similar. It will enlarge a bit, like bigger buildings will be stretched out more towards the areas that we currently have not or very little amount of buildings. Also, the parts where the amount of buildings is a bit excessive, just pure for decoration and immersion, but not really that suitable for tank combat, we can deduct that there will be a significant decrease of buildings. On the east side, we also got the main theme of the river that still remains the same. Still a lot of destructible buildings, being more of the suburban areas of the map, will still remain. I do think the water tower will remain, but will be moved. Some elements will be moved around for quite a distance. But since the terrain, and I think that is the biggest change we actually notably will see between the two maps, is that one map, the smaller map, will have some more extreme terrain differences since it is inaccessible for tanks, so you don't get a Dragon Ridge situation where lots of tanks will need a lot of time to get all the way up to enjoy a quite strong position. Now it will be flattened down. That way it won't take as long to traverse through that area, and it wouldn't give one of the teams or the tanks that do that a huge advantage. And if we just look at the map itself, we generally see some similar themes. General themes will be more kept in line. Whenever there are too much buildings, at some point they will get removed, but most of the buildings that are a core element of the map design will still remain, especially during all the way at the central stage of the map. You will see barely to no changes at all if you just look around the central city plaza. The only changes we mainly see to open up the map more are changes that I really like to see back in the actual random map queue, and those are some elements that we see in the Onslaught map. Like this big building being opened up, a lot less trains on the tracks, like I said before. So that concludes the general analysis of the Enks map. Now let's go towards the second part of this video and deduct what other maps could fall in the same category as Enks, being able to get an enlarged version of it. And I've actually scouted out some maps that are lower than 1000 by 1000 meters, which is less than I initially thought. So up first you got Himmelsdorf, being 700 by 700, slightly larger than Enks. It does feel a lot bigger than Enks. Most of the times because you got some more open like areas. You got the hillside, which takes more time to get to, and pretty much most of the map is a city-like map with a huge park in the middle, which opens up the map also as well. We also got surprisingly Lakeville being actually smaller with 800 by 800 meters, which really doesn't feel like a small map, but well, maybe we can do something about it, make it slightly bigger where it can. Of course, mine's the main map which I want to tackle, which is also surprisingly 800 by 800 meters. But I already can see about the minimap why this map feels so small. The entire right side of the map is pretty much 50% inaccessible. Furthermore, we got Paris, which is also 800 by 800, which can be enlarged a little bit more. Province, which is actually a battle tier limited map, but maybe we can do somewhat of the same. But with this map, I think there is the least possibilities to enlarge it some more. Rumberg, which is also an 800 by 800 map, which can be enlarged. Quite a similar looking map like Ensk, with a city area and a more rural area. Tundra, which it was also a surprise being a smaller map than 1000 by 1000 meters. And finally, White Park, which is also another tier limited map. But like Province, we can enlarge this map, especially for higher tiers. So we got a White Park for higher tier vehicles. It can be interesting. So looking at the actual length of this video alone, taking an analysis of what can change about these map enlargements with Enks itself, I do believe I'm going to make a small series out of it, going through these 8 maps and see what kind of changes we can expect when we're going to increase the size of it to 1000 by 1000. I can see myself also wanting to edit those mini maps themselves as well. So, well, yeah, this is going to be a project that's going to take a while. No idea if I'm going to upload this as the series back to back, if I'm first going to record everything, get all the material in place. But it's a series that I'm really looking forward to make, something that I haven't really done ever. Is this? I don't think since the light tank update that I actually made a mini series about something. So yeah, this could be interesting. So with that out of the way, hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to watch already the next video, which is pretty much looking at the Himmelsdorf enlargement, just wait for the end screen or check the description down below. And with that, that's the end of this video. And of course, I will see you next time. Laters.